Hello, how are you guys doing? Good evening. This won't be a long video, I promise. Uh, but I just wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive on one of the shorter videos I did on AI in education. Uh, I think it's a benefit to teachers because it helps with like just, it could create lesson plans, or it could create a lesson plan for you that maybe you're struggling with, like struggling with not I don't struggle with lessons or teaching, but sometimes there are difficult concepts you want to teach to students that are kind of sensitive, or students may take it the wrong way, and you want to present it in a way that's respectful to students and to the general public. And I think AI can be helpful in creating lesson plans with regards to that. But for students, I think that we still need to, we still need to be very careful about that. So I wanted to read this article, and I promise, like I said, I will not, um, belabor this. So let me see if this, I'll share the screen. I'm still new with StreamYard. I don't use it often, but I did want to do this. Okay, so again, this article is from NPR, and it's titled "Most K-12 Teachers Say AI's Impact on Education Will Eclipse the Internet or Computers" by Lee Gaines. So it begins, "The effects of artificial intelligence on learning are still largely unclear, but a new NPR Ipsos poll of K-12 teachers found that nearly 3 in 4 believe AI has bigger implications for education than past innovations like the internet or computers." The nationally representative poll surveyed 545 respondents and paints a complex picture of teachers' views on AI. Many are using it to save time and improve their teaching materials, but a majority of teachers are worried AI is making it harder for students to learn to think for themselves. "We're in an environment where teachers feel like this is going to fundamentally reshape the future of education moving forward," says Mallory Newell, a senior vice president of Ipsos. I think that's the way you pronounce it. They have serious concerns about AI's impact on how they relate to their students and how students relate to each other. And schools have a role to play. A resounding majority of polled teachers, nearly 8 in 10, think schools should teach responsible use of AI. To me, that sends a very clear message that teachers are acknowledging that AI is having a humongous implications on education as we know it, says Newell. It's not going away, and so now is the time to act. More of a teacher's helper than a classroom tool. The poll shows students aren't widely using AI in the classroom, at least not yet. A little more than half of teachers say the technology isn't being used in class by students at all, while about 2 in 5 teachers say students are using it in class at least once a week. Meanwhile, a majority of teachers polled, 6 in 10, say they've used AI themselves to help with work tasks, which, I think it is very helpful. Michelle Neighbor, a veteran biology teacher at El Toro High School in Orange County, California, says she allows her students to use AI during certain lessons to teach them how to properly prompt chatbots and verify their accuracy, which is good. For example, she says she'll tell her students to ask ChatGPT to describe a particular animal's physical characteristics and habitat, then verify what the chatbot generated with reliable resources or sources. She says the lesson shows students that AI still gets it wrong sometimes, which she's right. I'm going to talk to you about an example really quick about like using AI to search for cheap flights. Um, I dig and dig. I don't just, to me, it's just one tool. I don't just use AI. I go and I look like at the different airline search engines for the cheapest flights. I'm cheap. I like the cheapest thing. That's me, and that's always going to be me. So I like to dig for the truth. I don't believe one thing. I don't believe one set of, one review for a dentist or one review for a flight or for an airline. I keep digging. But yeah, AI gets it wrong. If I look for cheap flights on ChatGPT, it'll just give me all the most, it won't give me the cheapest flights. I'll have to go through other engines like Google Flights or, the different, third-party flight websites. So she's 100% right. It doesn't give you the most accurate piece of information. So she continues, that's one of the things that has to be taught. You can't take it literally. She says she also had success using AI to generate multiple choice questions for assessments. And that is, it can do that. That's something that normally as a teacher would have taken you probably upwards an hour, and it minimized the entire task to 5 minutes. That's helpful. And she's right. So like if I wanted to create a lesson plan that has a sense, I know how to create lesson plans like the back of my hand. But if it's dealing with concepts that could be sensitive to students, like, like terms like genocide or terms like, racism or terms like that, and you're trying to deliver the lesson in a way that you want to be sensitive to your audience, sensitive to the world, sensitive and respectful to everyone, it can do that. It can create a lesson that'll do that for you. Because sometimes those things are hard. A majority of survey teachers who report using AI on work-related tasks say it saves them time, but most 63% say that time savings equates to 2 hours or less per week. Joanne Parcell, a math teacher and instructional coach at Downers Grove North High School in the Chicago suburbs, says she found AI useful for coming up with professional development activities for her fellow educators, but she doesn't use AI with her students. And Purcell says it isn't reliable enough to generate math questions. It's a pain in the butt to go through and see where the mistakes are. And I feel like if I have to do that, I might as well just write the questions myself, Purcell says. Are students learning to think for themselves? More than half, 54% of poll teachers say AI makes it harder for students to learn critical thinking skills. Christina Coricelli, I think a special education teacher at Saugus Middle High School outside Boston, says AI could be a valuable technology for learning, but too often students are using it in an answer machine, not a tool to bolster the thinking. I think students who aren't already intrinsically self-motivated to be critical thinkers, like that top 1% of the class, I think people who are not already that personality type, we're going to see those critical thinking skills atrophy over time, Coricelli says. Neighbor in California feels a deep responsibility to teach your students that humans must always interrogate and verify what AI generates, which I agree with. I care about my students. I want them to be able to look at the world and figure out things for themselves, not rely on a piece of software, she says. If we stop questioning what it says, we can be led to believe anything, and that's what really scares me. More than half of teachers polled, 55% think AI is mostly just a shortcut for students to avoid doing more work. However, and I agree with that. However, Ellie Rodriguez, a special education teacher at Royal Palm Beach Community High School near Palm Beach, Florida, says AI can be especially helpful for students with disabilities. She explains that one of her students who is on the autism spectrum recently used AI to get help with an assignment. And I think, like, for multilingual learners, it's very helpful. It can translate assignments. I praise him, Rodriguez says, because he wouldn't have been able to complete the assignment without the help of AI provided. It got him to do the work, but hopefully too, it helped him to apply using resources like you would use as an encyclopedia, like you would use a library book to find your answers, she says. But Rodriguez does worry the technology could hamper learning for students who don't have disabilities or who are capable of doing assignments without the assistance of AI. And she says she and her colleagues, including some English teachers, are deeply concerned about the impact AI is having on students' ability to think for themselves. AI is eroding student trust, student-teacher trust. Nearly 6 in 10 surveyed educators says AI is eroding the level of trust between students and teachers. About 4 in 10 say that they've required more assignments to be done by hand, and 4 in 10 also say they've required more assignments to be done in class as a result of AI. Newell with Ipsos say the erosion of trust caused by AI is one of the biggest red flags in the data. She says that the issue is compounded by another survey finding 70% of teachers believe the public's perception of them has gotten worse. What that tells me is that they are trying to navigate some very complex challenges in an environment that is already rife with mistrust, Newell says. Neighbor in California has had to adapt to how easy it is now for students to fake assignments. She says for years she offered extra credit to students who participated in beach cleanups and habitat restorations outside of school. All they had to do was show her a picture to prove they were there, she says. But then neighbor's son showed her how easy it is to use AI to create a fake image of a registration table for such an event. I had to stop doing that because I can't verify it. That was sad, she says. Neighbor says she also modified her curriculum so that all lab work is done in class in front of her, and homework matters far less for students' grades. Teachers are much more suspect of things that students do outside the classroom, and I hear a lot of comments like, well, we can't do it this way because they're just going to use AI, says Corcelli near Boston. Josh Kaufman teaches 7th grade English at Alabama Destinations Career Academy, a virtual public school that serves students across the state. He says he noticed a substantial uptick in the number of AI-generated assignments his students submit. And because it's a virtual school, he can't do things like require more in-class work. Instead, he says he tries to persuade his students that there's value in their own writing. I tell them I would rather deal with all of your typos and know that they're yours than to wonder how much you're standing on other people's shoulders to do your work for you. And I agree. You know, you have to be careful. I think every case, every school, every situation, every student is different. Every classroom is different. Schools aren't providing teachers with much guidance. Many educators having to adapt to AI with little guidance from their school or district, according to the survey results. Many educators are having to adapt to AI with little guidance from their school or district, according to the survey results. Among teachers whose schools provide AI software, only 35% say they have a formal policy on teacher use of AI, meaning schools are more often providing the tools without a formal policy for their use. About half of all polled teachers say their school hasn't offered any guidance on AI and they're not sure what the guidance is. I think teachers are looking for additional guidance from their district and from their students, frankly, on what AI is going to mean for the future of education, Newell says. Only about 4 in 10 teachers say their school offers professional development or training related to AI, according to the poll. So Rodriguez in Florida says she hasn't received any training on the technology and she wishes she could. They need to teach us how to apply the information to what we do and most importantly to how we teach to be able to utilize AI in a positive way, Rodriguez says. Kaufman agrees. He says there isn't enough attention being paid to how to teach what we are teaching differently to account for the flexibility and the resources that AI can make available. Corcelli isn't totally surprised by the lack of training. She says schools are often slow to adapt to change, and that's been a challenge for educators. I think we're all just kind of trying not to drown with the whole thing, she says. And so there are some statistics in the article. You can read through that. But I completely agree with the sentiments. There are a lot of different opinions out there, and I'm going to put the link to the article in the chat so you guys have access to it. And if I can get the link in there. And I'm also going to put my website in there if you want to contact me for anything. And if you have any questions, but I really believe that this article pretty much hits the nail on the head with all the issues with AI and what we're dealing with. You know, it's really hard to navigate it. And this is my website, and then I put the article and the website in there. And so I really think that we need to rethink how we do AI. It's helpful. It's a tool. It's like anything. There are so many tools out there. There's tools to, if you need to, if you're writing a research paper and you need to cite sources in APA or in Chicago manual or whatever, there's a tool to do that for you. Back in the olden days, in my days, they didn't have those tools. We had to do everything by hand. We had to do the citations. We had a model. You have a model, you have an example, and then we had to do all the citations by hand. Put the period here, put the comma here, shorten this, italicize this. But now there are tools that do it all for you. So my thing is I'm all for that advancement in technology. I'm a huge proponent in advancement in technology, advancement in everything. My washing machine is a little robot. It knows when everything is dry. If I put my stuff in the washing machine, it knows when everything is dry. It'll just shut off. And I thought, that's a great invention. I mean, my stuff gets dried within like 10 minutes. And so, all of that stuff is good, but, electric cars, I don't want an electric car. I don't want to drive in a computer. Like, I'm considering buying a new car next year or the year after. I'm definitely not going to buy an electric. No, I don't want to. It's annoying. I'm probably going to buy a hybrid because it's still based on gas and it's a little bit better, but we'll see, what the pros and cons are. But in my classroom, what I do is if a student is plagiarizing from AI, I know immediately. Number one, they just copy and paste. So if something is bolded in what they copied, it's going to be bolded in their response. If something is, I know my students, I know their language, I know how they talk, I know how they write, I immediately detect it. The students, like the article said, that show errors in their writing, spelling errors, punctuation errors, I know those kids are being honest, and I'd rather have that. And I honestly, I don't grade them as hard because I know they're not cheating. And so, yeah, it bothers me. Because I work hard, I work hard on my writing. Like, I'm traveling in July, and I know my work, I know my writing, I know what I want out there. Like, I'm going to take that experience in Portugal and I'm going to use it for my fifth book. And I can't take fake experience. I'm not going to take someone else's experience and put it in my book, because then there's nothing to write about. It's not my experience. I want people to feel what I felt, whether it's uncomfortableness or discomfort while I'm there, with language or whatever, and to what's like being in Portugal. Now I hear it's really nice and it's really pleasant, and it's so. But my take is, every time I travel, I always take the perspective of, I just go in there with, this is not my land, period. This is not my property, period. I go in there with, number one, with safety in my head, and number two, with self-awareness. There are some things now I'm a little bit I'm getting better at it. When I was in Barcelona, I got a lot better at it. I'm more comfortable, and but the language, that most people spoke English, so it was nice. But I want to try to speak their language, right? Try to be in their worlds. And so, I know I'm not going to be naive. I'm still not going to be naive when I go to Portugal, but I'm going to be a little bit more, proactive about communicating in their language. But anyway, so yeah, my take is make them write in their own handwriting. If you suspect them of using AI, make it a policy, and, just try to make sure that they're doing everything in their own language. And if they do something AI driven, make them redo it. That's what I do. I mean, I try not to be hard on my students. I really do. I don't but I do. They have to redo it in their own language. And most students are understanding, they know what they can get away with, and they know what they can't get away with. It just depends on the teacher. So, anyway, I also, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. I'm not looking for thrills. I'm not looking for frills. I'm not looking for, excitement. There's too much garbage out there, and I'm not for it. I just want to give you some facts. Hopefully you like it. Please subscribe, please like, please comment. I appreciate the views. I appreciate all of you. I love my community. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers. I will be going live or showing some shorts from Portugal. Hopefully fun things. I'm getting a little anxious because, it's always nerve-wracking. I'm very protective of myself. I'm very protective of my belongings. And so, anyway, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great evening.